Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my office. Today, we're actually going to be addressing intellectual property rights, okay? Because apparently, there are some people that feel that the free flow of information should be just that. A free flow of information without restraint or without parameter. So, for those people, please listen up. I have something to say here. It's straight from an Aspen Casebook. If you need the title, it's Intellectual Property in the New Technological Age. Author Merges, Manel, and Limley. 6th edition, Wolters Kluwer, Business and Law. So, I just read something that made me want to make this video, which is point 3 located on page 5 of this book. I'm sorry, it's like I'm citing code, but Nozick. Okay. There is a gentleman who wrote a book. His name is Nozick. Robert Nozick. Nozick, Anarchy, State, and Utopia in 1984. Okay. In his book, he offers a different philosophical perspective on intellectual property, which is one rooted in libertarian tradition. It's not clear how, and I'm just reading now, it's not clear how libertarians should think of intellectual property rights. On one hand, ownership of property seems necessary to underlie the market exchange that is at the heart of the libertarian model of society. On the other hand, one might view the free flow of information unfettered by property rights as the norm and view government-enforced intellectual property rights as an unnecessary aberration. Okay. Let me explain what I just said. Put it in normal human being terms. I mean, that is straight up legalese right there, right? Okay. Ownership of property seems necessarily to underlie the market exchange that is at the heart of the libertarian model of society. In short, that essentially means that intellectual property and the possession of it as a very abstract yet tangible form of presentation or understanding about a certain object or a certain subject is the very basis of what they call market exchange. And that is at the heart of the libertarian model of society. Okay, the libertarian model of society is that individuals have rights and that individuals may do with those rights what they wish. There are natural human rights which no other human may violate in accordance to natural law, which is a theory of John Locke's, which this book explains, but that's a different presentation. Today, on to the next point. Okay, that's one hand of this equation. So we've got that in the libertarian model of society, people are free to do with their information or intellectual property what they will. Okay, I'm not going to say they're the same thing, but I will say that they are very closely related. So, on the one hand, we have that. On the other hand, one might view the free flow of information unfettered by property rights as the norm. Okay, so what that means is, as with the conversation and debate nowadays about the free flow of information about the internet, okay? Should the internet be, for lack of a better term, mandated? Should it be regulated would be the term. And I'm not going to take sides on that debate, but the fact is that that is a subject of debate. The free flow of internet or the widespread availability of internet access to every human being. I mean, that's a very big topic in 2017, and I believe it will be for years to come. So, in today's chat, I wanted to address that where one might view the free flow of information unfettered by property rights as the norm, and view government-enforced intellectual property rights as an unnecessary aberration. Okay. What I'm trying to say there, or what this book is trying to say there, is that some people think that intellectual property, this idea, this philosophy, this model, even theory, should not be controlled by the government. It should be free. It should be for everybody to experience. It should be unhindered by one, essentially. But, okay, that's the other hand. Okay, so on one hand, the libertarian model is the very fundamental basis of exchange. So we're talking about capitalism and free market economics. I mean, in a free market, literally the sole purpose for an individual purchasing an item or obtaining possessory rights of an item is for that person to be able to use it. If they are unable to use it, or if they do not retain intellectual property rights on the item that they purchase, then that product can be rendered useless, essentially. It's like getting a product without the instruction set. It's like if you have all of these items, let's say you have all of these pieces of technology and gadgets. Let's say you have an iPhone. Let's say you have a Samsung Galaxy. Let's say you have a soundbar, a TV, any number of things. But you do not read the instructions. And you have never operated any of those before. Okay? It's a very far-fetched and broad theory, but the point is, if you weren't given an instruction set, or if you weren't given the operator's manual, if you were not given the instructions as a tangible form of intellectual property, then you would not be able to operate or use the item that you yourself now retain possessory rights over. So, okay, I'm no different. Everybody else, we're essentially, I mean, we're all equal before the eyes of the law. So that's simply the fact of the matter. But I wanted to get that concept out because that's something that it's taken me a little while to comprehend. But I mean, even if it's as little as a pack of gum, or it's as large as getting a backhoe to dig up your backyard. It is literally something that encompasses every single thing. Okay, but it's not just things. It's also the philosophies and everything associated with things. I mean, I hate to just like throw this out there, but when you look at things, if you have a moment, please take a look around yourself and look at the things that you touch on a daily basis. You don't realize it, but every single one of those things has come into being or been produced as a result of intellectual property rights, which the manufacturer most often retains for themselves and will not divulge in the form of like a trademark secret or model or anything. I mean, it's applicable to business as well as manufacturing. So, I don't know. I guess it's just interesting to think about things in those terms. And once again, this is not a one-way approach. There is not a single one correct way to understand what intellectual property is. Because in theory, we're all subject to the theory of intellectual property itself. Now, that's all I have for today. If you like what you've heard, please leave a comment, subscribe, like, share, do whatever you will. And hopefully next time I'll have something a little bit more thought-provoking.